nobody knew who he really was, just a reliable, quiet delivery driver who did his job perfectly, until the day he recognized what was inside a package with a single glance and said one sentence to the owner that changed everything. Welcome to the Human Stories. Before we continue with this powerful story of hidden expertise and silent legends, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this deserve to be told. Hit that subscribe button and help us honor the quiet heroes walking among us. The Metro Delivery Depot sat on the edge of downtown, a sprawling warehouse where hundreds of packages began their journey to doorsteps across the city. Among the dozens of drivers who clocked in each morning, Marcus Chen occupied a space that was both completely visible and utterly invisible. He was there, reliable as sunrise, but somehow no one really saw him. At 58, Marcus moved through the depot with an economy of motion that suggested every step had been calculated for maximum efficiency. He wore the standard brown uniform, drove the standard white van, and followed the standard protocols. But there was something about the way he organized his route, the way he handled packages, and the way his eyes seemed to process information that set him apart from his colleagues. His supervisor, Janet Rodriguez, had managed the depot for 12 years and considered Marcus one of her most dependable drivers. He never called in sick, never complained about difficult deliveries, and maintained the highest customer satisfaction ratings in the district. His route covered some of the city's most challenging neighborhoods, yet he consistently completed his deliveries ahead of schedule without ever seeming rushed. The other drivers had their theories about Marcus. Some figured he was just naturally good with directions. Others thought maybe he'd driven taxi before. A few suspected he might be former military. There was something about his bearing, the way he carried himself with quiet confidence, that suggested discipline earned through experience they couldn't quite identify. But Marcus never offered details about his background, and after 2 years, most people had stopped asking. He was simply part of the landscape, the guy who got the job done without fuss or drama. What none of them knew was that Marcus possessed skills that had once been considered among the most specialized in the world. His eyes, which now tracked house numbers and apartment complexes, had once calculated wind speed, distance, and target movement from positions measured in miles rather than blocks. His hands, which now handled packages with careful precision, had once adjusted equipment so sensitive that a heartbeat could throw off a shot. Marcus had been a sniper, not just any sniper, but one of the elite few who operated at distances that turned killing into a mathematical equation involving weather patterns, gravitational drop, and the Earth's rotation. For 15 years, he had been a ghost who could eliminate targets from so far away that his presence was theoretical, his existence classified, his missions reduced to clinical reports that never mentioned his name. But that was before the injury that ended his career, before the nightmares that made civilian life feel like sleepwalking, before he discovered that the skills that made him exceptional at taking lives could be repurposed for something as mundane as delivering packages with impossible accuracy. The irony wasn't lost on him. The same visual processing that once helped him track human targets through urban environments now helped him navigate delivery routes with preternatural efficiency. The patience that had allowed him to wait motionless for hours in hostile territory now served him well on traffic jams and customer service interactions. The attention to detail that had once meant the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure now ensured that every package reached its intended recipient. On the morning everything changed, Marcus was following his usual routine. He had organized his van according to delivery sequence, plotted his route to minimize backtracking, and was making his way through the affluent Riverside district where large homes sat behind manicured lawns and privacy hedges. His next stop was 1847 Oakwood Drive, a colonial-style house with cream-colored siding and black shutters. The package was marked fragile and required a signature, which meant dealing directly with the recipient rather than leaving it on the doorstep. Marcus had delivered to this address twice before. Once a set of crystal wine glasses, Another time what appeared to be artwork wrapped in protective padding. He pulled into the circular driveway and retrieved the package from his van. It was roughly the size of a shoebox, heavier than its dimensions suggested, and wrapped with a kind of excessive padding that indicated either extraordinary value or extraordinary fragility. As he walked toward the front door, carrying the package in both hands, something about its weight distribution triggered a memory he tried very hard to forget. The balance was wrong for normal contents, too dense, too carefully distributed. And there was something else, a faint metallic quality to the way it shifted when he adjusted his grip that made his trained instincts suddenly sharp and focused. Marcus had handled thousands of packages over 2 years of delivery work. He knew how books felt, how electronics were packed, how fragile items were cushioned. This was different. This was familiar in a way that made his pulse quicken and his peripheral vision expand automatically. He rang the doorbell and waited, the package still in his hands, his mind running calculations he hadn't needed for years. When the door opened, he found himself facing a man in his early 40s, well-dressed but with the kind of nervous energy that suggested someone expecting important news. "Delivery for Richardson," Marcus said. His voice steadied despite the growing certainty of what he was holding. "That's me," the man replied, reaching for his signature pad. "Been waiting for this one. Took forever to get here from overseas." As Marcus handed over the package, their eyes met for just a moment. And in that moment, Marcus made a decision that would change both their lives. "You might want to be very careful with the scope mounting," he said quietly. "The Leupold Mark IV is precision equipment, but it's sensitive to temperature changes. Let it acclimate before you make any adjustments." The man's face went completely white. His hands, which had been reaching for the package, froze in midair. For several heartbeats, neither man moved or spoke. "How did you?" Richardson's voice was barely a whisper. "I know what a rifle scope feels like when it's properly packed," Marcus replied, his tone matter-of-fact but carrying an undertone that suggested depths the other man was only beginning to guess at. "The question is whether you do." Richardson looked around nervously, as if expecting neighbors to be listening from behind curtains. "You can't just, I mean, this is legal. I have permits." "I'm sure you do," Marcus said, "but permits don't teach you how to compensate for wind drift at extended range. They don't explain why a scope that's perfectly zeroed at sea level will shoot high in Denver. And they definitely don't prepare you for the fact that precision shooting is 10% equipment and 90% understanding physics." The man stared at Marcus as if seeing him for the first time. "Who are you?" "Just a delivery driver," Marcus replied. "But I used to be someone who understood the difference between owning precision equipment and knowing how to use it responsibly." Richardson hesitated, then stepped aside. Would you like to come in for a minute? I mean, if you have time, I could use some advice from someone who actually knows what they're talking about." Marcus checked his watch. He was ahead of schedule, as always, and something about the man's manner suggested genuine respect rather than casual curiosity. 5 minutes. Inside, Richardson led him to a home office where gun safe stood open, revealing several rifles and boxes of ammunition organized with the kind of careful attention that suggested serious intent rather than casual hobby shooting. "I've been trying to learn long-range shooting for months," Richardson said. "Taking classes, reading everything I can find, but the instructors keep telling me my fundamentals are off. I can't seem to get consistent groups no matter what I do." Marcus examined the rifle collection with eyes that catalogued every detail at the quality of the equipment, the choice of calibers, the way everything was organized. This wasn't someone playing with dangerous toys. This was someone trying to master a discipline that demanded respect. "Show me your shooting position," Marcus said. For the next 20 minutes, Marcus provided instruction that transformed Richardson's understanding of precision shooting. He explained how breathing affected accuracy, demonstrated proper trigger control, and described the mental discipline required to make shots at distances where margin for error was measured in fractions of inches. "You're not just pulling a trigger," Marcus said as their impromptu lesson concluded. "You're solving a complex equation where every variable matters. Temperature, humidity, wind speed, range, even your heart rate. Miss one calculation, and you miss your target. Where did you learn all this?" Richardson asked, though something in his tone suggested he already suspected the answer. "Somewhere that doesn't exist on any map," Marcus replied. "Doing things that never made it into official reports." Richardson nodded slowly. "Military sniper, former military sniper," Marcus corrected. "Now I deliver packages, and I should get back to my route." As Marcus prepared to leave, Richardson stopped him with a question. "Would you consider giving me some proper instruction? I'll pay whatever you think is fair. I just want to learn the right way." Marcus paused at the door. For 2 years, he'd been trying to leave his past behind, to become someone ordinary who lived a quiet life without the weight of classified missions and confirmed kills. But maybe there was a way to use his experience that didn't involve taking lives. Maybe there was value in teaching someone to understand the discipline and responsibility that came with precision shooting. "Saturday mornings," he said finally, "the range on Highway 9, 7 a.m. sharp, and we start with safety protocols, not sexy long-range shooting." "Thank you," Richardson said, and the gratitude in his voice was genuine. "I won't waste your time." "Make sure you don't," Marcus replied, "because the skills I'm going to teach you aren't games. They're tools that demand respect." As Marcus returned to his van and continued his delivery route, he realized something had shifted. For the first time since leaving the military, he'd found a way to use his specialized knowledge that felt purposeful rather than simply practical. He was still just a delivery driver, but maybe that wasn't all he had to be. Word spread quietly through the shooting community about the delivery driver who understood precision marksmanship at a level that suggested professional training. Marcus never advertised his services or sought recognition, but serious shooters began seeking him out, drawn by reputation and word-of-mouth recommendations. He never discussed his military service directly, never claimed credit for missions that remained classified, never sought to profit from his background beyond fair payment for instruction. But in teaching others the discipline, patience, and respect that precision shooting demanded, he found a way to honor his past while building something meaningful in his present. So I ask you, have you ever encountered someone whose casual expertise revealed depths of experience you couldn't have imagined? Someone who carried specialized knowledge quietly until the moment when sharing it could make a real difference? Tell us about them in the comments, because sometimes the most valuable teachers are the ones who never intended to teach. Thank you for watching The Human Stories. If this story moved you, subscribe and help us continue honoring the quiet experts who walk among us, because in a world that often mistakes loudness for competence, sometimes the most profound knowledge speaks in whispers. And next time someone demonstrates unexpected expertise in your presence, pay attention. You might be learning from a master who's chosen to hide in plain sight.